Hey guys, sorry it's been so long. I've Christmas break, just different things going on, but we are back to reading Rain, Rain, and we're on chapter 4. Title: Some things about my father, whose name Wesley Howard, does not have a homonym. So I wonder what things we're going to learn about her dad. Wesley Howard is my father, and he's 33 years old. He was born on March 16th during a quarter moon. He's 6 foot 1 inch tall. He has a scar on his cheek that is 1.5 inches long. He got it when he was 7, and his father whacked him in the face with the handle of a shovel in order to teach him not to leave his bike outside. Some things about my father and me that are the same are that we both grew up with our fathers but not our mothers, and that we live in the country. My father's profession is mechanic at the J&R garage. My father has one sibling, my Uncle Weldon, who is 31 years old and 6 foot tall. Uncle Weldon was born on June 23rd during the kind of moon called a full strawberry moon. My father was born at 6:39 p.m. and my uncle was born at 9:36 p.m. So their birth times are opposite when written out. Also, the numbers are all visible by 3. My father was 21 when I was born. He was 23 when my mother left. He was 26 and a half when I started kindergarten. He was 26 years and 7 months when my kindergarten teacher, Miss Croon, told him that Hatford Elementary might not be the right school for me. "I didn't know there was another elementary school in Hatford," my father replied. "That isn't what I meant." What Miss Croon meant was that since I was having trouble talking to the other kindergartners and I cried a lot and was apt to hit myself in the head with a shoe or a picture book if someone didn't follow the rules, I might need a special school or program. My father told Miss Croon to work harder. Teaching me was her job. "Are you sure you don't want to look into another program for Rose?" asked Miss Croon. "Where are the other programs?" asked my father. "There's an excellent one in Mount Katrine." "Mount Katrine, that is 22 miles away?" "Yes." My father shook his head. "Rose will be fine right here." In first grade, my teacher, Miss Benzel, called a meeting with the principal and the school psychologist and Miss Croon and my father. I don't know what happened during the meeting because I wasn't there. After the meeting, my father picked me up at Uncle Weldon's office and took me home and shook me and said, "Rose, this behavior has got to stop." And I told him that you could write out my name 2 ways and both ways would be pronounced the same. For second grade, I had Miss Croon again. She didn't want to teach kindergartners anymore. Miss Croon said to my father on the afternoon of September 13th, "I believe Rose would benefit from spending part of every day in the resource room, Mr. Howard." Mr. Howard, who is my father, said, "That's fine with me as long as the resource room isn't for retards." 4 has 2 homonyms, 4 and 4. By 4th grade, Mrs. Liebler had become my aide. My father said he didn't think I needed an aide, but that he wasn't going to fight Hatford Elementary. "Just stay out of trouble, Rose," he told me. And everything was fine until 5th grade when Mrs. Liebler thought up the idea of weekly progress reports. Now, I am going to go back in time to report on my father's childhood some more. When my father was 10 years old, he went to school with a brown-colored 2-inch long mark on his arm, and his teacher decided it was a burn. She called Child Protective Services, and that very night the police arrested my father's father, and that was when my father and Uncle Weldon went into foster care. "We were always placed together with the same family," Uncle Weldon told me once. "We weren't split up, but we never stayed with any family for very long." My father and Uncle Weldon lived with 7 foster families before my father turned 18. They lived in 5 different towns. They had a total of 32 foster brothers and sisters. They went to 9 different schools. The longest they stayed with any family was 21 months. The shortest they stayed with any family was 78 days. One night last year when my father and I were eating supper at 6:17 p.m., I said to him, Did you have a favorite? A favorite what? Asked my father. A favorite foster mother. Yes, I did, said my father. Her name was Hannah Peterson. That is very interesting, I told him, recalling Mrs. Liebler's conversational tips, because Hannah is a kind of word called a palindrome. That means you can spell it the same way whether you start at the beginning or the end. My name is not a palindrome because if you spell it backwards, it's E-S-O-R, not R-O-S-E, but it does have a homonym. My father said, "Don't get started on homonyms, Rose." So I said, "Did you have any favorite foster brothers or sisters?" "Yes," said my father after a moment. "How interesting," I replied. "Did any of their names have homonyms?" That gives us a good picture into Rose's dad. Maybe an idea of why he's angry, mad,